Kristi Noem. I don't even know how to deal with this lady. Everybody thought she was a rock star. I warned back in the day that no, she was not. A lot of our good friends that are farmers have problems with Christie and the way she deals with land and everything else. Basically a tyrant in the state. They graduated her to the federal level, and oh man, she didn't do very well there and got fired by the Donald. And now insult to injury. Noem's husband leads secret double life. He's a cross-dresser who wears huge, ridiculous, boobs. I don't even know how to talk about this story. Joe Kovacs over at WND.com with this piece. Joe's a good friend of ours and everything else, and I don't even know how to respond to this kind of a story, James.
Well, you can just Google Byron Noem, her husband, or Kristi Noem, and it's going to be the only thing that comes up
Unless
today.
you don't want to see this, because this is just gnarly.
I have actually seen the pictures of what you're describing. There are plenty of photos of him in that attire. And I just got to say this. I mean, my first reaction to all of this was, of course, it would be very easy to join the layup line and dunk on this guy right now. And, I mean, you know, but what I really was thinking was, number one, you never want to see any family go through any sort of strife or conflict, and things like this, you know, when it comes to salacious scandals, is very damaging. So just on a human level, I don't like to see that. That's number one. And, number two is that people always ask me, are you concerned about this, that, or the other? And I said, no, the way that I conduct my life is I don't say anything in public, on the air, on the phone, or even in private in conversation that I wouldn't say in a court of law or in front of a judge. And you just have to assume that everything you're doing is monitored. I don't care if you're in media or just an average citizen. Assume that everywhere you go on the internet is tracked and everything you do and say is clocked. I mean, that may not be the case.
They used to say on CB radio, you got your ears on? And just so you know, everybody's got their ears on, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So you just assume that, and you're probably going to be led in the right direction. So that's what I assume. And then it was astonishing that he couldn't have anticipated that being the husband of a former governor, being the husband of the secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, a Trump administration appointee, that he could go online on webcams and somehow, some way, eventually this wouldn't come out. So I honestly cannot understand that for the life of me, how he thought that this would be.
And what I don't understand, James, is how would this come out now? Okay, it didn't come out when she was running for governor, didn't come out when she was governor, didn't come out when she became the head of, DHS or whatever. Okay, and now it comes out after she's already stepped down. I don't understand that. Now, everybody's saying this could be a national security breach because, hey, they could lean on her saying, hey, we'll out your husband if this and that and that. So it's a security concern. But how does this come out after she's already stepped down and it's not really going to have any impact? It almost seems like to me that it was timed on purpose.
Well, I mean, again, the timing is interesting. Sometimes things like this just come out when they come out. I don't know exactly how this was leaked or what the source was. I mean, presumably somebody he was talking to either recognized him or who knew who he was and sold it, or just got excited when they found out who he was and leaked it. I don't know about that, but you have to imagine in this age of all of these spy agencies, if you are a governmental official or married to one, it really is flummoxing, the fact that he thought that he could have gotten away with this. But I will say another thing, by the way, it very well may have had a role in why she was dismissed last month by the Trump administration. I probably could have seen this coming or knew that this was going to be coming. So I would say that is probably related to her dismissal. They got out ahead of this. But other thing?
But I'm going to tell you something else, too, that I really think is interesting. I'd like to hear from Christie about this. And the reason I say that is because, when she married him, I don't know if she knew about this kind of behavior or this kind of propensity or whatever term you want to use for this. But, what do you do when you're married to someone? We believe marriage is supposed to be a permanent thing. You don't just leave your spouse. And, is it something that she's mortified by, but yet, what? She loves him and she's hoping for change and whatever. Or is she like, oh, no, this is awesome. This is the way we behave all the time. What would her kind of narrative be about this? And I bring this up because, again, we don't have control of our children. Christy doesn't have control of her husband. They could have started out marriage, everything's good, and then he kind of started coming out with this weird fetish, and she's just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do you do in those circumstances with a family member? So I do think we need to have kind of soft gloves when it comes to this a little bit and give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in terms of, she's only responsible for her own actions. She can't be responsible for the actions of her children, her husband, her cousin, whatever the case may be. And so I think we need to give her a little bit of grace in this, as you wisely already pointed out, James.
Well, there is that. Of course, she herself has not been abstained from similar scandals. These allegations that she had an extramarital affair with Corey Lewandowski have persisted for years now. Who knows? I mean, who knows? That is all gossip, rumor, and hearsay. She has come out and released a statement to the press saying that the family was entirely blindsided by this and to give them privacy and things like that. I mean, what else is she supposed to say? But one thing I would say is, again, whenever you have something like this, as unfortunate as it is, the tendency of the left to immediately pile on, ridicule, make a mockery of all of that. But see, the thing that gets me about that is the left is the ones who are the biggest proponents of perversity.
Yeah, they should be loving this. They should be. She's one of ours. She ought to be a Democrat. She this. Why aren't they saying that kind of stuff?
Oh, exactly. Because this is the party that promotes transgenderism or transvestitism or cross-dressing or homosexuality or even the murder of babies. So it would seem to me, if they were sincere about all of that, rather than, anytime a conservative does something that they would otherwise champion, they make it like a big scandal. What's the scandal? He's just behaving as the way you say is natural and healthy and just another alternative lifestyle. Why wouldn't you, if you were operating in good faith and sincerity, why wouldn't you welcome him into the fold and say, you know what? This just goes to show that there are a lot of people like us out there. You need to have a little more understanding, closed-minded Christian.
Embrace your husband, join the Democrat Party. Come on, let's, we're the big 10 people and the Big Ten. I'm going to stop right there. All I can tell you is, look, this is interesting how they literally attack and try to embarrass Christie over this. And I'm just saying, hey, you know what? I don't know how Christie's supposed to respond to all this. What she knew when about her husband's actions and everything else is kind of another thing. But you got to ask the question, too, if she really is a true blue conservative, which I don't think she is. And I agree there's a scandal there that we need to, somebody needs to address relating to Corey Lewandowski and all these guys, things. But at the end of the day, though, did she know about this? And it shouldn't stop somebody from running for office just because other people in their family make different choices and things like that, too. So we got to kind of start to not have this guilt by association either.
Well,
and that's kind of a problem because it can be taken when it comes to us. If you even smile at somebody, you're guilt by association. Hey, you smiled at a racist the other day. You're a bad guy. Whereas at the same time, they can have these guilt by associations, and it's no big deal, right?
It's like what they always said they didn't like about McCarthyism. They take McCarthyism and up it about 100 times, and the whole links and associations game that they play has just always been comical to me. But no, what you said a second ago, I really want to pivot back to that, and that is they are attacking and ridiculing this man for behaving in a way that they say is a perfectly acceptable alternative lifestyle. So if it's good for your people,
James, hold on, it's not just acceptable. It's the preferred lifestyle. If you're not that, you're literally a bigot. You're a hater. You're an enemy. You're a bad guy. You're some kind of a misogynist, or I don't know what, but that's where they go. Right?
If they weren't operating in bad faith. If they were operating in good faith, they would just say, you know what, just come on, brother. You're one of us. We welcome you. We're not going to treat you like the GOP is. We're not going to fire your wife. Why don't you come on over? Because I will tell you this, Sam, I would do that. If there was somebody out there that was a high-ranking government official or even the spouse of a government official or a media personality or an influencer, an athlete, a movie star, whomever. And they were saying, and they had always appeared to be a leftist, but then it came out that behind the scenes they really thought like we did. And I'm not talking, this is a total, it's basically the negative image of what we're talking about here, but this time it's a leftist that's talking about God and family and country, and that's what they really believe, but everything else has just kind of been a facade. I would say, you know what? Good for you. We welcome you. Come over here. I wouldn't ridicule this person for being a closeted, Christian or rightist or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Am I explaining that clearly?
Yeah, absolutely. And just take a Ronald Reagan or some of these other people that, they were Democrat in the beginning and they moved Republican and they changed and were quite conservative. And I don't think Ronald Reagan was always that way and everything else. And hey, we took him in and embraced him and called him one of our own and everything else. And, Trump's kind of a similar story. This guy's had his whole life hanging around people like Bill and Hillary Clinton and company. And now he's supposed to be the MAGA leader, the most conservative guy on the planet. So, double lives. That's the interesting part. Why is it a double life anyway? Very interesting. I just wish men would realize that men are men and women are women, and that's the way God set it up, and that's the way science proves it to be. And let's just stick with the truth, shall we? Now we got to talk about the R word coming up.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
All right, here's the problem. The R word you used to think was racism. Our buddy James Edwards with us now wrote the book Racism, Schmacism, a great book. Find it at thepoliticalcesspool.org along with his award-winning broadcast. But President Donald J. Trump, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, well-known musician Kid Rock, Fox News personality Greg Gutfeld, recently used the term retarded, ladies and gentlemen, a recognized slur, they say, against people with intellectual disabilities. It's a big deal, they say, and Trump employed the term on Truth Social against Tim Walz and everybody else. The article's written by Dan Barry, and they're kind of saying, how does he articulate this without, quote, using the horrible word? It's just horrible. You don't dare use it ever. It's an ethical challenge, they claim. And they've done some extensive research into this, and it's really a slight, and it's really horrible, and how dare you do this? And everybody's criticizing the use of this word retarded and calling this and that retarded. And they say the piece generated over 700 reader comments, and everybody wants to remove the word from common use and everything else, and I just need to call a halt to the con game to these clowns, okay? Let me just explain something to these people. I don't know if you know this, but in English, a lot of times there's words that mean more than one thing. Based on the context, the word can mean different things, right? Okay, conferred is a great example. You can confer the priesthood on someone, or confer, a kingship on someone, or confer something, a title, a responsibility, or to confer is to talk with one another. Let's confer about this or that, or talking. Okay, there's words that have multiple meanings, right? And so when we talk about this term retard or retarded or whatever else, retarded is literally a name that relates to people who have intellectual disabilities and documented to be so. I get that. And that's one use of the term, for sure. However, the other term, when I say, oh my gosh, that's retarded, or that, oh my gosh, this guy's being a retard or a tard or whatever, we're not talking about people with intellectual disabilities. There's a different meaning of the word, and I'll give you a proof and point to make the example. In the music world, a retardando, isn't that what they call it, where they slow music down? Or whatever the heck it's called. I'm not an expert on music, but I'm just saying they even use that. So we got to just shut down the music profession. How dare they? But, when we say something is retarded, we're just saying, listen, they're not okay, this is retarded for the Democrats to attack Kristi Noem's husband for what they love and believe. Do you see the reality there? We're just saying it doesn't make any sense. So different words have dual meanings oftentimes. And this is case in point. And so they want to basically mock us out of using this word. Pretty soon you can't use the R word. You can't say race or racism. Then you can't say the word retarded. Pretty soon they'll just control your language because you won't be able to say anything. And so we need to push back on this. Not that I'm defending any mocking of anybody with any intellectual disabilities, okay? I'm merely saying that it's retarded to pretend that the word that you use to, relate to other meanings and other intentions only has the meaning of mocking the truly disabled. Okay, that's retarded. Pardon the pun, but I'll do it, and there you go. Why? Because words have more than one meaning. James?
Indeed, Sam. When you said the R word, I ran into the storage and got a copy of the book. It came out in 2010. I thought the R word, there was only one, the R word, race.
No,
racist.
sir.
Not anymore, and this has become something. There's a little history behind this word, by the way, which, as you say, has different meanings and is perfectly applicable to this situation at hand regarding individuals who are affected with an intellectual disability. It is a perfectly appropriate word. The textbook definition of retard means to retard means to hold back or slow down. So if someone is slow in their development or held back, you could say that they are retarded. Of course, that term of the definition is highlighted in all of the online dictionaries as being highly offensive now, sort of like the N-word. But
that's totally bogus.
Well, listen, that word itself was a compromise back in the day, and I'm not trying to be sensational or shocking or anything like that, but back in the day, they called what we knew to be retarded people back in the 80s, which is what they were called then. Prior to that, they were called idiots. And because people thought that was too offensive or too strong, they took that word out and called them retarded. And then that became too hard and too harsh, so they called them handicapped. And then that became too hard and too harsh, and they called them disabled. And then that became too hard and too harsh, and then they were called special. And listen, God bless them. They're all God's children. I mean, I don't have it's not their fault. They are, no more or less rewarding of grace and redemption than anyone else. But I mean, it's gotten to the point now where you're starting to call people who are intellectually held back special, or even now exceptional. I mean, what do words mean? I mean, how are we supposed to know even what you're talking about?
That's the problem. And the Italian word retardando is what it does to mean when music slows down. But here's the next question. When you, and I know this because I work with products where you have to have what's called flame retardant on, say, sleeping bags or pillows or things like that. What it means is that, hey, something, when it gets caught on fire, you want this retardant type chemical or whatever you want to say on the fabric to slow down its ability to catch on fire or burn. And they call that a retardant, don't they, James?
I guess now they'll call it, you don't want a fire retardant, you want a fire
They'll call it an idiot. I mean, I'm just saying, see, this is what I mean. Where do we go? Most of our language, in English at least, comes from other languages, and a lot of our words have more than one meaning, James. And I'm just saying, for them to pretend that's not true and to attack me for saying, hey, you know what? You Democrats are retarded when you run around and act like Kristi Noem's husband's the end of the world when that's what you promote as your primary. Okay, I'm not mocking people with a disability by any stretch of the imagination, and don't pretend that I am. Okay, that to do so is absolutely retarded. Okay, I'm just telling you right now, don't do that. Words have multiple meanings, and otherwise you got to take the retardant off all of your stuff and let it just burn to the ground. Okay, because you can't have retardant on there, for heck's sakes. See, these people are crazy, James, and that's the point that I'm making.
Well, it is another tacit way to control speech, of course. I mean, that is a subplot to all of this. But at the same time, no, I mean, we have to be able to have conversations. One of the reasons that we are in the sad shape of affairs we are in is because we have not been able to have honest dialogue for fear of offending someone's delicate sensibilities. Now, there's no reason to go out and to do it in a mean-spirited way. I think a lot of it is context and the spirit in which, it's being delivered. But if you say, it's Sally has a, handicapped or a disabled, child, you're not being, I understand what you're meaning. If you say, Sally has a special child or an exceptional child, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. In what way is there exceptional? Oh,
Yeah, you would say that Sally's child is retarded. And that's a sad thing. And you know what? We do our very best to give Sally's child every opportunity to excel in every way possible and be as kind and as respectful and understanding of that. But can you call a blind person blind? Are you allowed to do that?
Well, let me ask you.
Well, I think you can call them anything you want to.
Except late for dinner. That's what Keith always said. My co-host.
Yeah.
You can call us anything you want to except late for dinner.
I'm just saying it's very interesting, and I don't want people to say, oh, he's handicapped. Just call me blind, okay? Handicap doesn't even tell you what the disability is, right? Or special. That doesn't tell you at all. If you say blind or deaf or retarded, or at least you're labeling what the issue is so that we can know. All I'm telling you is it's just interesting how we've gone to this level, and it's got to stop, okay? And I don't mean to mock or make fun of anybody. By the way, there's a lady by the name of Angela Lips, James. She's a 50-year-old grandma from Tennessee. She was arrested at gunpoint on July 14th by U.S. Marshals at her Tennessee home. I guess she got mistakenly linked with a big scandal, a bank fraud case in North Dakota. And they basically kept her in jail for a long time. She was babysitting 4 young children at the time. She was unaware of the allegations until she spent several days in jail. She couldn't even find out why they had busted in and arrested her. Fargo police have been investigating somebody who used a fake military ID to steal a bunch of money and all this kind of stuff. And she was incarcerated for 108 days in Tennessee. She was extradited to North Dakota back in October. The bank records proved that she was in Tennessee when the fraud occurred. I mean, this is insane. They say mistaken identity. Lips has stated that she's never even been to North Dakota before her arrest, and she certainly never plans to go back. What on earth is going on, James?
Well, you say, I was thinking a couple of things, 108 days. I mean, that's not, as far as jail and prison sentences go, not the end of the world. But I mean, imagine being away from your family for over 3 months. And then I was thinking a 50-year-old grandmother. And I said, well, that seems kind of young to be a grandmother. But I actually met a 36-year-old grandfather the other day in Tennessee. So it's a different thing down here.
I'm just saying, all I can tell you is this, though, man. Why does it take 108 days to figure out she's not even the right person? And why do we arrest her and not give her a speedy trial and figure out what's going on? And, she should have a chance to clear her name and get an attorney. I mean, I don't even understand how this can happen in America, James. Well, it happened while Donald Trump was president, too.
This would have been a great story. As fast as your show always goes, it goes by even faster on video. I can't believe we're down to the last minute now. This would have been a perfect story to compare and contrast to the story with the sheriff I believe it was in Maryland, the one you had sent me, and
Yeah, shoot, we need to get to that, man. I'll get to that soon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great story, but I'm just telling you what the idea that we're going to put this lady in 108 days and not even find out if she's the right person. Now that is retarded. I'm just telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. Check out James's award-winning broadcast every Saturday night live or anytime on demand at thepoliticalcesspool.org. I'm Sam Bushman. We are syndicated by LibertyNewsRadio.com. This is Liberty Roundtable, so it's LibertyRoundtable.com. Spread the word, share the love. Rumble, YouTube, Liberty Roundtable. We're just everywhere, baby. Check it out. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live. God save the Republic of the United States of America, and make sure to avoid the R word, please.